Hi, investors. It's Tom here, your local Manchester guy, and we are with Niraj again, our HMO expert from Luxury Hub. Hi, Niraj.
Hi, Tom. Are you well?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us again. And last time we spoke with Niraj about the risks of investing in HMO, and he gave us 10 risks. And he promised us that this week he's going to tell us what are the solutions to those risks. So are you ready for this, Niraj?
Well, I'm going to caveat this, Tom, because you just dialed into a Zoom 5 minutes ago. I said, Tom, I don't have time today. 5 minutes, don't worry. We'll get it done in 5 minutes. So am I ready? Yes, but very, very only just.
You know the answers, Niraj. So I'm gonna tell you what did we speak last time, and you tell me what do we do about it. So we spoke about licensing. Yeah. And the need for licensing. What's the solution?
Okay, yeah, licensing and regulatory compliance. Solution is you build a framework. So you know your local area. You read the licensing criteria and you build a framework. So for example, now, by the way, we do all this and you know we're doing this for you when we look at the properties. We look at it, okay, what's the minimum space requirement for a bedroom? What's the minimum space requirement for a lounge? What's the minimum space requirement for a bathroom? And we ensure we meet the space requirements. Then we look at the compliance, smoke detectors, fire alarms. We build all that into the compliance. And you know we do that by having a checklist. So I think if someone was not using us as a team and yourselves, I would say they need to make sure that they have this checklist, and they need to make sure that the contractor they use has done HMOs before. And the other way to help yourself with that is making sure you've got a building regs inspector who is aware that you're doing an HMO. A lot of people try and cheat the system and say they'll get an irregular building regs inspector for residential property, which can be quite dangerous. So there are checks and balances with your contractor and using a building regs inspector, but predominantly you need an expert who can give you that checklist and demonstrate that.
Okay, let's move on to the next. We talk about what properties can we use any property for an HMO?
I think we talked about the risk of maintenance and repair costs was risk number 2.
Yes.
And I think how you mitigate those risks is, well, we mitigate those risks in 3 ways. If it's initial costs, you do it once and you do it properly. So to stop yourself keep going out to repair leaky pipework, you make sure on day 1 that you check all your pipework. So it means that when someone's doing an HMO on day 1, it'll cost them more money, but that will save them a lot of money in the long run. So that's the first way. The second way that we do is how we reduce maintenance and repair costs is we have a cleaning team that go in and clean bi-weekly, and they take photos. So we're looking at how the tenants are maintaining it, and it's a 2 strikes and you're out policy in terms of if the kitchen's dirty or they're not opening windows. So it's very, very simple things like humidity. If they're drying their clothes in their bedroom and not using the dryer, I don't know why people would do that. They just don't want to take the effort. So we don't allow that, for example. And if you have a right quality tenant, that wouldn't happen. The third area that we do is we have a video maintenance system, and I think we should actually do that where we FaceTime. Could say it's like a FaceTime. The tenants use a property technology app which we've developed. They click into the app. They get a text after they've reported everything. They get a text message saying when you click on this link, when you're in front of the issue, they click on the link, it tests their camera, and then it video calls a maintenance person. We have 5 people on duty at all times, and they will log that issue and look at it in detail. So we're very, very hands-on and deal with things very, very quickly. So, maintenance, if it's handled efficiently, if your property team are your eyes and ears, then, and you've got a good a good maintenance reporting system, then that will then that works really, really well. So apologies, I've just got this coming in.
That's an interesting one.
The only other thing that I would say that's really, really important is and this will probably how we de-risk a lot of the other ones. Some of the other ones is we have a lead tenant in each property. So the lead tenant will get circa about £25 basic as being retained and available to check on issues and things that come up. He's the go-to person within the property, and that really, really helps. You know, they'll even help with any issues that new tenants will have, making sure that there's a community feel. So, you know, relying on our property management team and the tenants and a good management and maintenance infrastructure.
Okay, I think there's a lot more to say. Maybe we can do a whole video about this, but let's
I
move
think we
on.
could easily, yeah.
I'm going to bunch up a few of the things together because I think maybe we can answer them together. We talked about whether the HMOs are easy to rent, and we also spoke about different
Tenant
people
turnover,
living together and types of tenants.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we
Yeah.
can.
So how do you deal with renting out, tenant turnover, managing difficult tenants? Well, when you set your pitch for your HMOs, stick to one type. So, you know, you don't try and be a jack of all trades, try and be a master of one, or for each one of those areas you want to master, make sure you've got an expert employed. So, you know, if you've got 2 student HMOs and you're doing it yourself without management, don't then go into, you know, family social credit, family, you know, government supported tenants or professionals. Stick to one. If you're in student, stick to student. If you're in professional, stick to professional. And the only caveat to that is use an agent who's an expert. So that's the first thing I would say. Focus on one area. Don't mix your tenants in the property, which is one thing that we said. A lot of people will mix tenants. Do not have a lead tenant. So that means you want one tenant who's kind of like looking over it. In terms of tenant turnover, this is where you get lazy property management companies. Their system will only flag up to do a viewing when someone moves out. We contact our tenants 30 days before their contract is due to expire, and we ask them to move into a new contract. If they don't, our contracts allow us to do viewings within 29 days of their move out date. So, you know, if they haven't contacted us, we're doing viewings and they know. And if they do want the room, then they're like, oh, I better renew because they're doing viewings on my room. So that gets you 30 days. That's 4 weeks ahead of the curve to let out the room. And that's one of the ways we avoid our voids. You know, what most companies won't do that because they don't have the need to. It's not their problem. It's their tenant's problem. We treat them as our own properties.
That's an interesting one. Tell us quickly the tenant types.
I think we talked about the different tenant types before. Students, I'll talk about the core ones, students, professionals. You might have older people, you know, with you know, who are kind of like from a family or environment or with pets. And then you've got the what they call family credit, universal credit, people who are on government social housing.
Benefits. Okay. Now, I think we've covered regarding wear and tear. So let's move on to the next one, which is resell.
I think the other wear and tear one that I would point out was we did talk about with so many tenants coming in and out, there's increased wear and tear. How do you deal with that? Well, that's really important. That's the quality of second fix materials you put into your property. So, you know, again, do it once, do it properly. The type of kitchen surfaces you put on, the type of tiling you use, the type of paint you use a little bit more of a robust quality. It'll reduce it. The other thing is cleaning. If you know, it's your amazing how many landlords say to you, I don't invest in cleaning. You know, it's your property. Would you not clean your own property? You know, having a shower or tiles and having them wiped down at least once every 3 months on a quarterly bathroom clean is going to enhance and increase the lifetime of that product. So that I think that is really important to point that out as a solution to a problem.
Let's go on reselling. We said we had the limited resale potential.
Yeah, and I think the example I use, because you pulled me up on it afterwards, is you go, what kind of an analogy was that? And I said, going into a vegetarian restaurant and ordering a burger. You said, I don't get that. Well, you'll get that. What you want to do is horses for courses is probably the easiest way to say it. You need to find a special expert who can deal with it. So, for example, the reason people come to us is when people do the development stuff, we're selling them out. So, for example, the Hong Kong guys are an example of people selling them out. Once we package maybe 5 or 6 together, we have pension funds and funds we work with who we manage for, who are looking for us. So go to a specialist, go to an expert. It doesn't just have to be a property management. It might be a broker who specializes in that. You know, one thing I would be against is paying upfront fees. There's a lot of cowboys out there that'll say, yeah, pay me a £1,000 retainer and I'll sell it for you. You don't need to do that. You know, if someone's really in the river and they've got that expertise and network, they'd be able to, you know, just do a success fee.
Okay. So slightly different than selling a normal house, but there is a market for it.
Yeah,
We just
there
got
is.
to
You
know
just need to
where
find
to
the
go.
expert and the specialist.
Great. We spoke about insurance. We spoke about mortgages.
Yeah, I think those two are very similar to the last one. I'll go into it in a little bit more detail, but it's finding the specialist and the expert. So again, you know, horses for courses. If you go to a local, you know, if you went online and you went to AXA, the house insurer, they won't specialize in it, but there are companies who specialize. You go through an insurance broker. A good insurance broker will give you access to the insurers who are specialists and only do that and nothing else. And they understand the risks. They'll ask you a series of questions to ensure that you know what you're doing, and then they'll insure you.
And same for the mortgage. I'm assuming specialist
mortgages
HMO
as well. I think even more. Most people think the difficulties in obtaining finance can be a challenge. You've got to really understand it, and that's why you know, you'll see the deals that we're now offering. We're offering finance on it. I think we just realized the new rate we've got today is we're looking at a overseas rate starting from 6.99% fixed for 2 years. If you do it in a specific way, and we do the management, we managed to lock that rate in, which is great in the current market, because I know your current broker doesn't provide it. So find a specialist, someone who's in the space, who understands the product, and it shouldn't be difficult. If you go to the regular suspects, be careful of some of the lenders. They will tell you they're giving you an 80%, 90% loan to value, but they won't give you the right value. So maybe I say it's worth, we've had this conversation before, Tom, 300, and I'll say, yeah, I'll give you 85%. But then when they give you the value, they're only going to give you a value of 200. These are the tricks of the trade. So they're doing that to pull people in. And again, we can do a whole video on that.
We can, yeah. So okay, so we got to go to the right people to get the right product. We spoke about any other risks, local market.
I think we talked about
conditions.
market. Was it dependence on local market conditions? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a key one, and you know the key way to that is, well, look at how far your property is from 4 or 5 things. Street check. You know, you're doing a street check. You're looking at distance from train station, distance from bus station, distance from local convenience store shops, distance to the main supermarket, driving distance to the motorway. So you're looking at a number of factors. You know, who are the largest employers in the area? Those are the kind of things. And then, you know, some of the ones that we talked about before about, I think we'll have to do another. I know we're running out of time.
We can do a full
coffee
video
shop
on this,
operators,
yes.
for example. You know, a
so
lot
basically
of
we got more. We're looking at more details than a buy to let. Here there's
but
more
that's,
things
you
to
know,
consider.
I think dependence on local market conditions. The solution is analyze local market conditions.
Okay. And then finally, we were talking about cash. Do we need more cash?
Yeah, I think the risk on this one is not, do we need more cash? HMOs do need more cash. The question is to understand, do you have that cash availability and the risk of going over budget? So you might budget, I'm going to buy it for 200,000 on a mortgage, 70% mortgage. So you got your 60K for your deposit, and then you put a budget in for 10,000 on the refurb. And then your refurb provider says, oh, it's going to be 50K. So I think it's having that transparency, and that's working with an expert who understands those numbers. Or for your first one, don't do a big refurb, buy a turnkey one. So Tom, we were talking today, we've got those deals. We've got the one that I think is under offer, which has about 40 or 50,000 pound spend, and we've really analysed those numbers. And then we've got another one where it's completely refurbed. So you first to do one that's turnkey, that's been operating, you know, that's one way that you mitigate the risk. The other one is just be really transparent and understand your costs up front.
Great. So I think we've covered all the
How
main
was it
risks.
today, Tom?
It's a long one, I think, today. We could do a whole video on each, and maybe we will. If anybody wants to know more about any of these points, let us know and we can make a video about it. We were speaking to Niraj, and I think pretty soon we're going to go and have a look at a property and do a video on site.
Yeah, we can do that on Saturday, Tom, the viewing day. That would be really good. I know someone asked for the video to be shared.
So next one is an on-site video. We're going to cut it here. Thank you very much, Niraj.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye for now.
Cheers, bye.